Hey everyone, Chaps here, and welcome to day 5 of our 2-week New Zealand adventure recap. And you know the drill by now. If you missed the earlier days, or if you want some additional background information, check out the links down below. But now, day 5, traveling from Tutukaka back to Auckland. This was actually planned as a bonus day for us. It was in case scuba got cancelled. We really had to add this extra day here. If scuba's cancelled the previous day, we were going to do scuba on this day. Also, we had various other things that we could do on the northish side of the North Island if we had time. So that's kind of what we did. We considered visiting, I think it's called Piha, but many of the things we were interested in were closed due to a recent cyclone that went through. And also, Rangitoto Island seemed really cool, but the ferries were fully booked, so we didn't get to do that. What we found, though, were a bunch of hikes between the Tutukaka and the Auckland area, so we just planned out our day and went through these hikes. First up was, I think it's pronounced Whangarei Falls. Again, if you missed the last video, this WH here is actually making sort of like the F sound, so I think it's Whangarei Falls. This was a really short, like 15-minute drive, probably even less from our hotel, and it was a short loop around the falls that took us probably 15-20 minutes. We probably could have done it in like 10, maybe 15, but we spent our time there taking a couple pictures and relaxing. It was quite beautiful, and there were some houses backing right up against the trail, and I'm pretty jealous of anyone who can just use this as their daily walk. Also, I'm going to add here that these pictures and any videos that you see later were all taken with my Galaxy S9. I actually just got a Galaxy S23, and it arrived at my house the day I landed in New Zealand, and I'm really bummed that I didn't get to use that to take pictures of this vacation. But, hey, it's a Galaxy S9, the camera's not that bad, right? So after that hike, we started the 30-minute drive to Mount Aubrey. Man, this took us through some seriously windy, hilly roads. The views were spectacular, though, and there's just so much green in New Zealand, it's breathtaking. It almost feels like it's an artificial green out of some, fantasy. Like, you picture the Shire and you see those rolling green hills, and that's not an exaggeration, that is like the North Island. It's absolutely nuts. Mount Aubrey had a pretty hidden entrance, and the hike itself was very steep, at least the part of it that we did. We only hiked up to the summit and then a little bit further before heading back. We could have kept going, but I can't imagine the views got much better than what we had seen at that point. I mean, just look at some of these views. That steep uphill and downhill got us exhausted though, so luckily our next drive was quite a long one and we had some time to cool down. We actually considered adding a couple additional stops before this next one, but some of the stuff was closed or was too far out of our way, so we didn't really do it. We did consider stopping at, I think it's pronounced Mangawahi Cliff Walk and the Takatu Point Lookout. Like I said, they were a bit out of our way, and they would have added a decent amount of time to our trip, a little bit more than we wanted, so we didn't stop. But if anyone else is planning a trip, those places actually did look like a really cool place to stop. The next one we did do is, again, pronunciation here, I think it's Pohuihui Waterfalls? Pohuhu Waterfalls? I don't know. It's a two-hour drive south from where we left. And again, this is one where at least we tried to do that one. Turns out that trail was closed due to the cyclone. Luckily, the stop was directly along our route, so we didn't actually waste any time. I'm also going to note that at this time is where we really got to appreciate the drive. So if you caught the last video, you know that we traveled from Auckland to Tutukaka at 4 a.m. and it was pitch black out. It was raining for part of it. It was foggy for part of it. Didn't really get to experience the landscape that much. The way back now, it's in the afternoon, a nice, beautiful, sunny day, maybe a few clouds in the sky. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, rolling green hills everywhere. And cows. Lots of cows. By the end of the trip, so sort of talking back now, this isn't part of the script. Looking back on the trip, we kind of got a little numb to it by the end of the week on the North Island. But still, every time we drove, even at the end of that first week on the North Island, and we're seeing these green hills, it's still just breathtaking. This country is amazing. So next up was the Wonderhold Regional Park, and guess what? It's closed due to the cyclone. There was a positive note, though. We did meet some duck friends, or Caroline, I guess, made some ducky friends. So that was pretty cool. Next up on our list was actually a short pit stop at the hotel. We checked into the Parkside Hotel in Auckland, and parking was in a garage under the building. Again, I don't know how much experience you guys have with parking garages, but this one was pretty narrow as far as parking garages go. And if you combine that with the fact that I'm driving in a new country on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road, and I'm actually really embarrassed by the number of 3-point or 4-point turns I had to do just to get around a column in a parking garage. It was pretty embarrassing. I'm glad no one else was driving behind us. After unloading our stuff, we did another hike. This time it was to Mount Eden in the southeastern side of Auckland. We had time to kill, so we decided to walk there from the hotel rather than driving, and that was probably a mistake. We were hot and sweaty before the hike even started. The hike itself was short, but it was super steep. And honestly, we had been hiking all day so far. I don't know why we didn't just drive to this one. Really, you're just climbing to the top of this volcanic peak called, sorry again, Whangarei? Maybe? I don't know. Here's the spelling on the screen. From there, you get this great view of the city. Personally, I prefer views of nature, but this one was cool nonetheless. What really blew me away, though, was the crater at the top. And these pictures and the video I take here don't really do it justice, because all the grass just blends together. This thing's about 50 meters, which is around 160 feet, or 11 to 12 stories deep. I can't imagine going down in that crater and hiking back out. Again, pictures and videos are not doing this thing justice. This thing was deep. As we walked back to the hotel, we searched for a spot for dinner. It's amazing how many places are closed. Not just restaurants, but shops and everything. I mentioned this in the last video, and it was 5:30 on a Monday. This time it's 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. Why is everything closed? Seriously, it was blowing my mind. So later in the trip, someone did bring up that COVID actually had a lot of shops closed, so maybe a lot of places just hadn't opened back up yet. But it was really weird walking through a city and just seeing so much stuff closed. Back at the hotel, we did a little bit of research, and we found a sports bar to go to called the Pitt Street Pub, which was really close to our hotel. But with our luck, it was closed. Yeah, you see where things are going here? Honestly, it looks like it had actually been closed for a while, so I'm not sure what Google was saying when it said it was open. But we adjusted, and we just went to a place called Lowbrow. It's basically a bar with some tables in the mallish type place. Caroline got an eggplant burger. I got a beef burger with various things on it, and both the burger and the cocktails we got were great. It was a really casual place, but I enjoyed it. It'd been a long day, though, and we were both ready for some sleep at that point. Something I kind of skipped over on that day is that my cough came back. I'm actually still kind of recovering from it. My throat feels a little foggy now, but as some of you may know, I had a bad cough in late 2020 and into early 2023, and I actually went to the hospital back in January. They think it may have been asthma, but I had been feeling fine and basically fully recovered. That's why I felt good to go on this trip and do all these hikes. But apparently Mount Aubrey triggered something, and my cough came back. I think it might be plastic bronchitis, which Google at your own risk, but yeah, it has not been fun since then. So yeah, hopefully this doesn't ruin the rest of the trip. I guess we'll see. Alright, I wrote that in the script. It didn't ruin the rest of the trip. Spoiler alert. It did happen a few times, but it didn't ruin the trip. So yeah, that was day 5. Not exactly an ideal day. There was a lot of stuff closed, not just those shops, but a lot of the hikes we tried to do. But we did get some really cool hikes, and that drive through the countryside was just absolutely amazing. But hey, on our schedule, this was a bonus day. So any amount of excellence we got from this, I'm going to chalk it up as a win. So that's 5 days down and 11 to go. Man, we still got a lot of trip left. Tune in tomorrow as we explore Hobbiton and experience some of the native culture in Rotorua. If you don't want to miss that, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications. If you have any questions about anything I covered here or the trip in general, go ahead and leave a comment down below or hit me up on Twitter. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this or think we earned it, go ahead and hit that like button. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.